Okay, so let's continue. I think you all understand the Superbase now. Just to recap very quickly, you have tables. It looks like spreadsheets. Interesting thing of these tables are you can join them. All right, so you can say, okay, here's my user data table. It shows the user's name, surname, address, and so forth. But you can also have a, let's say, orders table that shows what somebody ordered. And there you can have then the user ID in there, but not necessarily everything else of the user, right? But once you join these two tables with the user ID as the common field, you can see now the user's name, surname, as well as that order and so forth. So tables can be joined and many things can be done to get data not just very quickly, but by joining many tables, you can pinpoint certain data that's in one table but not in the other. As an example, authentication, extremely important. All authentication we do is done in Superbase. If you see that authentication menu in Superbase, I didn't want to click on it because there is real user data in there, like email addresses and stuff, which is private to these users. But you can create users in there, passwords in there. You can't even see the password there, not even the encrypted version of the password. And if you can't see it, nor can a hacker, right? And then we have the storage buckets where you can store files and so forth, images. So in the end of the day, it's like I said, Superbase become your central point of truth because it contains all the data, all the images, and all authentication. Now, Node.js, to wrap this up, is Node.js is a temporary worker, right? It starts up and it shuts down. PHP and the older stuff starts up, create a session in memory, and it stays there waiting for you and will time out after 20-30 minutes. Not with Node.js. Starts, do something, stops. So this is how it works. Let's say you have a website and React says, okay, no, this is not just me building another page up quickly. This is an API call. It will send it to Netlify. All right, so Netlify sort of wakes up. Okay, here's something from the web browser. All right, and what happens? Node.js session or worker is spin up, and it looks at the request. The request can say something like, see if this user is logged in. All right. So Node.js will do a call to Superbase. You know that little functions we looked at, it will use one of them. Superbase will come back and say, yes, this user is logged in, so we can see his shopping cart. And this will go back to the browser. Your React will say, yes, he can see this page, and this is what needs to be shown. And there you go, it's shown. All done very quickly. Now, a last thing, because we talk about security, something that's very important is middleware. So middleware is between your Node.js and your API call, and it acts like a bouncer. So the questions Node.js will ask it is this user logged in? Is this user an administrator? It will work on rate limits, your middleware. Has this user tried to log in like 1,000 times in the last minute? Sorry. And it will also log everything in the API call. So the middleware is the bouncer between your Node.js and whoever you try to connect to via API. we will look at serverless functions very, very soon, but it's just there's a way that you use cookies, which is just a big long number for your Node.js to remember you. And how it does that is that cookie or big number is stored in Superbase as a session with a lot of data with it. For instance, this guy is an administrator. This guy can view pages 1, 5, and 8 in the administration sections, things like that, right? Or this guy is not even logged in. So that is all stored in the database as a session, compared to PHP that stores the sessions into memory. All right. Many benefits, and we will look at that very soon. Now, you know what, let's use the rest of this video and now also talk about serverless functions. It's very important to understand serverless functions. Now, PHP, you understand, there's Apache web server running, as well as the PHP programming language, and then a database either there or even a remote database, all sitting there as a server, all running, all listening for new connections, taking up space in memory. Now, serverless functions is what we're building. Nothing runs by default. Node.js is not running. None of the stuff is running on our Netlify. As soon as an API call comes in from a web browser, Netlify spins up Node.js. All right. Node.js will do whatever it needs to do the API call, speak to the database, figure out is this user logged in, is he not logged in, and so forth, and then dies off again. But in other words, there's now nothing again running. All right, until the next request hits it. So if you have 1,000 users and each do a request in a 1 minute time frame, those guys will be helped each in milliseconds of time, very fast, and there's not 1,000 connections sitting there in memory hoping the guy will ask for something else. So that's very much what serverless means. It does not mean that there's no service. It just means nothing is running until it's needed to run. You can think of the bandwidth, the memory, the processing, all those things are extremely fast because of this way of setting things up. Now, this sort of completes the first session that ended up being 3 sessions or 4 sessions, I think. And this is the bridge from, as you can see, old type of stuff to a very simple new way of doing things. I don't say that we're not going to use server type of applications still, because we're going to set up things like Python and so forth in tier 3, especially when we're going to start creating data sets and really do predictive AI and so forth. But for now, all we're going to need is what you see there. We're going to use Vite, and you need to understand it properly. You need React, understand that properly. Netlify, you'll have to understand the routing, the fast browsing route, and then the API routes, Superbase, and then middleware. Now, just think of it for a second. If you don't know these things and you're going to start vibe coding, all right, what are you going to get back? Is it going to decide on Vite or Next.js? We will look at Next.js later on. Will it even use React? What about databases? It will probably ask you about the database. You're not going to know. You're going to say, yeah, use whatever you want. What about the middleware? What about the security? All right. So without even touching a line of code, you can see as an architect, which you has now or that you are becoming, you're not a coder. AI is the coder. You are the guy putting everything together. And yes, there's advantages to it, but there's also disadvantages. And this is all the stuff that we're going to work with. All right. So that's it for this lesson. Next, we're going to start looking at the actual coding, how JavaScript works, TypeScript, and we're going to move on even to be more or go more into detail into React and things like that. But for now, that's it. That's all I want to talk about. I'll see you in the next lesson. Bye.